Hello. This is going to be episode 2 regarding a corrupt justice system in the US and maybe around the globe. The specific episode is about my realization and how much I hate myself for not realizing the truth years ago. I mentioned in the intro that I read books on this. I was told this growing up. I was told cops are no good, can't trust cops. I heard it. I just didn't realize it. And even a book I read about corrupted justice system, I still didn't realize it, and I always hate myself for that. I think the key is to have an open mind. I've always had an open mind. And to learn from others, to listen to others about parts of life, and to not ignore what you're being told, but to also gather all the information, but to experience different realities of life. That's when it opens your mind. So it's one thing to know something, and it's another thing to embrace what you know. But I wish I embraced what I was told and what I read, instead of learning it the hard way. So again, this is really, a video on just hating myself for not knowing what I should have known 5 years ago. I was a defender of law and order because I thought it was about stopping violent behavior. And then, I guess you could say 3 years ago, I learned the hard way. I learned that, and I realized that these cops are just paid to hunt down quotas. These cops are paid to hunt down non-violent actions. But when I say non-violent, I mean a non-violent action could be bad, you know. There's another video where I'm gonna speak about what real crime is, but an example of a non-violent crime that's real crime is identity theft. That's a real crime. It's not non-violent. It's a real crime. You're breaking into someone's financial history through a computer, right, or through a phone. That's a real crime. But a non-violent crime that's nonsense, as I mentioned on the intro, I'll give a few examples. Marijuana, which I'll get into a great deal in the future, or again, if your headlights aren't on a cloudy day, I mean, can you leave me alone? If those things happen, those are nonsense. Those actions aren't a threat to humanity. A threat to humanity is murder, rape, or real rape. Real rape meaning forcing someone to do a sexual act when they don't want to. These are real crimes. But again, cops hunt for nonsense. They hunt for the car light not on a cloudy day, they hunt for marijuana in a car. It's just nonsense. That's what cops hunt for. That's all a cop is paid to care about. And it's just these kinds of actions have been going on for many, many years. At the time when I was growing up, I came from a city that experienced a lot of violent crime. So our mindset was, we need cops to stop the violent crime. But because we were so programmed to be afraid of violent crime, we didn't realize the nonsense and the bullshit. We didn't realize cops focused on bullshit. The truth is, where I came from, crime went down because of gentrification. That's why. It wasn't because cops saved the day. It wasn't about that. Gentrification saved the day. That's how crime went down. That's it. When you have different races living in the same environment, that brings down the crime, so to speak. Let me mention something, though, very important, because, again, I'm going to keep saying this throughout my episodes, all part of the programming. So when one violent crime happens, which is a tragedy, when one violent crime in the head, but when one violent crime happens, there's a spike in violence. It's just one violent crime. So let's take out the gentrification. You just have one group of people living in an area where the crime is high, right? It's a few violent crimes that happen, but a few give the impression that violent crime has gone sky high. Again, any violent crime is a tragedy, but it's just a few. That's how the numbers go up. And then when you have gentrification, that changes things to where you still have a few violent crimes, but the overall demographic, they're okay, thankfully. So most people are okay. Most people who live their life thankfully will not be subjugated to violence. A few will. Again, that's a tragedy. When crime goes down, this gentrification. So the truth is cops, again, they patrol the streets on foot or on car, and their focus is on nonsense like the marijuanas, like the car light not working, or not on a cloudy day. Again, I'm gonna get into both a lot more in future videos. I hate myself for not realizing the truth. Cops are paid to fill a quota. That's the reality. Again, there's a book on this. There are books on this. There are people who've been screwed over by the justice system who could share their own testimony as well. Yeah, that's the gist of it. I wish I realized this growing up as a teenager. But again, all about the program. You know, I was raised to cheer for cops because of violent crime, but it was all a smokescreen. It was all a propaganda. It was all a narrative. Cops never cared about violent crime. Again, I'm going to repeat myself purposely like a dead horse. They just cared about a quota. They care about nonsense. They care about bullshit. And the bullshit has ruined a lot of lives for many years. And I think I'm going to wrap this up. Stay tuned for my third video. Part 3 is going to be about meth. So I'm going to talk about that. Alright, like I said, these videos will be 5 to 10 long. It's 10.5 minutes right now. If there's one person in the galaxy watching this, I say thank you. But someone needs to talk about the corruption of the justice system. Thank you.